When you're initially meeting with clients, it's important to set up some sort of a schedule so that you both can agree on consistent times that you can meet weekly. To help you in this, some helpful questions might be, where am I likely going to find you on Mondays at 11 o'clock? Another helpful thing is asking what's the best way to reach you. If the service participant doesn't have a cell phone or an email address, maybe there's a shelter or an agency that has steady communication with them that you can start to communicate with as well in order to determine where they're going to be and establish some easier ways to communicate with them.
That makes sense. The other biggest thing in the beginning is immediately starting to work towards finding shelter. It's the model of that housing now that we do housing first. So you want to access everything possible in the community to start working towards securing shelter for them. And one of the big things that we wanted to touch on is exploring for the individual what supports and resources they have immediately at their own hand or at their own disposal, and accessing and connecting with them first. So on that, while supporting a participant, if they are able to be successful in resolving their own homelessness, then that's the best outcome for everyone involved. Alternatively, you're going to start wanting to connect them directly with the Housing Help Center in Lindsay, Housing Resource Center in Peterborough, and get them familiar with how to look for viewings and any other services or supports that those agencies have available for them in the community, as well as being able to do that jointly with them.
Yeah, and it's such a good resource for them to connect with and start to get comfortable with, because down the road, our goal is to have them connecting with Housing Help Center and using them as a resource in place of us. Something that some of the housing centers provide as well is additional funds that service participants can access monthly to help them in securing their housing. So in Lindsay, this would be called the Portable Housing Benefit, and in Peterborough,
subsidy through social services.
Right.
And the denomination of that varies depending on the program that they're affiliated with too.
Okay.
In Peterborough.
Yeah, and in Lindsay, it's all calculated based on the amount that you're paying towards the rent.
Okay.
And it's sort of different for each person that applies.
So as you're working alongside your participant, you want to start to identify housing-specific goals, ideally that they are identifying, so that they have the most buy-in and commitment and understanding to meeting those goals. Within that, for each goal that they identify, and we want to keep them minimal so that they're reasonable, realistic, and able to obtain. You want to be able to break down individual tasks that will be required to meet each of those goals. And additionally, who's responsible, and perhaps even if there's a timeline that would make sense for each of those tasks.
Another important part of stage one is identifying any risks to safety that the participant may have. If the participant is interested in any harm reduction supplies, working with them to make sure that they're connected with agencies in the community that can assist them with that. In addition to that, ensuring that you have some sort of an agreement with the participant to make sure that if you're not able to hear from them or hear about them within a certain amount of time, when should we be worried? And when does that necessitate a call to the police for a check on well-being?
Yeah, absolutely. So lastly, in your initial engagement with participants, it would be ideal if you can start working towards preparation for viewings. Things like when you attend a viewing, how to dress, how to present, what information may or may not be necessary to share during that first meeting or first contact with a landlord or property manager. One great way to establish that is actually to do a mock sort of role play with your participant, what that could look like and what they can expect, and help and support them for how they can be successful in that meeting.
Once the participant is successfully housed, that's when you start to implement some of the case management tools brought to you by Josh.